Kraken of the Week, episode 22. This week we have a game from RWWatson in the Fiji. It's a tier 6 British light cruiser. The game is going to be capture the base on Two Brothers. And you see here earlier doing what the Fiji does best, which is raining down the AP shells. Interesting note, this is a tier 6 ship and you would have to go all the way back to episode 15 of Kraken of the Week to find any ship outside of tier 7 or legendary. So great submission here, and let's take a look at the gameplay. With Two Brothers, you always get half the team spawned on the east side, the other half on the west side. And this one's no different. Interesting part here is you see RWWatson is still spotted, and that's indicating there is definitely a destroyer out there in the open water. You see hitting the pause screen there, taking a look, detection, fire range, everything. You want to make sure that you have all your stats zeroed in. Now before we get too far, let's take a look. RWWatson is using Bruce Fraser as the commander. Base trait of Make Haste. That is just improves your movement speed of your ship. Slot 1, Beyond Range. Slot 2, Home Run. Slot 3, Punch Through. The fourth slot, Fixated, and the legendary skill of Refill Station. Up to this point, RWWatson had been using the island as cover. Comes out of cover, and this Synop with those big guns makes him pay. Takes over half the health. Fortunately, though, had a smoke screen ready to go and immediately deploys it. Getting under the cover of the smoke screen is going to be key. But looking there at the damage that these main battery guns are doing on the Synop, even with a minimal amount of superstructure, you're seeing big numbers come off, and those are just the front turrets. So at this point, finally getting able to get those rear turrets on target and getting all the guns to start raining down the AP shells. Now before we get too far, let's also talk about the ship mods. They are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, and Concealment System Mod 3. That Concealment System, I think it is one of the most undervalued perks on a cruiser, because not only does it reduce your detectability range, but it also increases incoming fire dispersion, which is huge in maintaining health throughout the game. So let's take a look at the mini-map here for a second. You see blue team's already down 2 ships, while red has only lost 1. However, blue team had a ship right there roll into the enemy's cap and go on with an extremely aggressive strategy. Meanwhile, you see that most of the western flank where RWWatson is located is starting to crumble. Right here, Synop, don't hate this move, taking a blind shot into the smoke. I always enjoy getting those hits when you're firing in smoke, and especially when you have the battleship guns going up against cruiser guns, you're going to be able to get some good damage if you find the target. Unfortunately with the Synop, they just could not buy enough time, and right there, kill number 1, already 50,000 in damage, and at this point we're trying to make sure that we cover this side. We saw the York pop up there, but we also see the smoke screen due west there, so we know that there's most likely a destroyer over there sitting in that smoke, and the located symbol pretty well confirms that there is a destroyer nearby. So let's take a look at the deployment here of all the ships. The red team is pressing up pretty close to the base on the eastern side, and we know for sure that there's 2 ships over here on the west. We know for sure the York, and somewhere out here there is a destroyer. So it's going to be RWWatson's job is to hold back these ships. Right here, the Mayhan getting spotted. A tactical error on the Mayhan's part, especially going up against the Fiji, because the Fiji will tear destroyers up in no time. 2 salvos in, 95% of their health gone. Does a good job dodging this salvo here. Unfortunately, it's just a matter of time. You see, even the secondaries are getting in on it now. Finishes off the Mayhan, kill number 2, and now we have a York. A York at decently close range, and that is asking to be citadeled. Getting unlucky with the RNG there at the beginning. And right here, you see the AP really starting to do the work. And look at that perfectly Fiji-sized gap in the torpedoes. Always go narrow spread, don't go widespread. That's what happens when you go widespread on the torpedoes. So what we have here is purely a DPM battle. Which ship can put out the most damage in a short amount of time? If the York had switched over to AP, they probably would have won this battle. But good job by RWWatson getting it done, getting the Citadel there at the end, and kill number 3, and cleaning up this side. So great job. You see they're no longer spotted. And at this point, you got to reassess and see what needs to be done next. Fortunately, the rest of the blue team has held up and now has the ship lead at 5-4. Take a look here. Looks like the friendly aircraft carriers probably getting a little close to the Tennessee. Aircraft carriers do have that magical detectability though, extremely low, so they are able to hide. But at this point, RWWatson still has to do the most they can in order to keep this Tennessee from pushing in any further. The Tennessee has big guns, has the ability to really tear through ships in a hurry. See on the consumables, used both heals so far, has 1 smoke screen left and both sonar charges. So it still has a decent amount of tools that can provide information and cover. Doing the right thing at this point though, pointing back into the middle of the map. You want to get in position to take on as many ships as possible. The blue team does have a ship in the cap, which is pretty incredible. We saw that ship go in earlier, and that's going to be a big decider here. But right there, the raining down of the AP shells comes through. Honestly, the Tennessee was catching shells from all over the place. Kill number 4, 103,000 damage. And now it's all about finishing off this battle and not throwing it away. Personally, I feel like this map is one of the hardest to get a Kraken on. You either need to completely wipe out your side and then go to the other side and get a kill. And it's extremely difficult when you have as many players on each side as you do. Typically it's 5 and 4. So if you have 4 friendly ships shooting at 4 enemy ships, it's going to be extremely difficult to kill all 4 of them. But so far, killed 3 ships off the western flank, 1 ship, the Tennessee, off the eastern flank, and now we see the Byron starting to come in. At this point, it's real difficult to say the circumstances that happened that sent the Byron out there, but extremely unique location for a battleship to be on this map. They had to sail pretty far out of their way to get out there. That's probably going to be one of the bigger mistakes. That's a lot of wasted time, wasted effort, and honestly, it's a lot of team time not spent supporting your teammates. If the Byron had been up there, say, with the Tennessee, this could have been a very different outcome. Splitting up, and honestly, it's going to be a big issue to overcome. Right there, we see our friendly battleship that had been sitting in the cap go down. But at this point, we need to continue focusing on the battleship. It poses the biggest threat at this point. See the destroyer rushing in, getting all the torpedoes on it. Gady finishing them off. And right now, you see once again, RWWatson is located. And it's time now to figure out where this enemy destroyer is. I really like the way RWWatson has worked the map. You know, starting back, making sure that they're covering their flank. Once their flank was covered, going back, supporting the eastern flank. And that's the type of play that you'll see high win rate players making. Making sure that they're not always just aiming for kills, but that they're protecting the flanks and not pushing in, putting themselves in unnecessary danger. At this point, you see we have the carrier support going straight up the flank and able to do some spotting for us. That is a huge advantage, having that ship out there. And you see right there, we do have carrier planes going up on the other side, which is kind of huge, because if they had been coming up this side, RWWatson would have been spotted, would have given the destroyer a little bit more information. At this point, the destroyer is just going the other direction, trying to stay alive. And at this point, it's basically a hunt of who can get the destroyer and the carrier first. Great job by the blue team carrier driver, keeping the destroyer lit. Looks like taking some runs at him, which is perfect, especially with that much health. Any hit on that destroyer will finish them off. But what this is allowing the cruiser here to do is get into position. The Akatsuki does have them located, so they are expecting them to come this way. But at this point, they're not exactly sure if it's a destroyer, if it's a cruiser. They don't know what type of ship it is, and that's because RWWatson has not been spotted in quite a while. I will say that's probably something that the enemy carrier should have been doing. They should have been out here spotting. But right here, immediately get spotted. They pop the sonar. They want to know if there are torpedoes inbound. So great defensive move. We see we do have some friendly planes on their way to come help us do some spotting. And turned in completely bow in to try to prevent any potential torpedoes from getting the broadside. I do like this, just using that rudder shift, and then right there, torpedo boats coming in from the enemy carrier. Good job turning in, avoiding them. Akatsuki gets spotted. Secondary's getting in on it, disabling the engine, and then once the guns get turned around, right there it is. Kill number 5. There's the Kraken. Up to 108,000 in damage. And at this point, all the team has to do is chase down the CV or go ahead and cap the base. Given that there's less than a minute now, it's going to be down to either the clock or killing the CV. Unfortunately there, does eat one torpedo, but the vessel does pop up. So it's just a matter of turning the guns around and getting them on the vessel. As we count down these last 30 seconds, unfortunately, RWWatson isn't going to be able to get the 6-pack. But I want to thank him for this submission. Another great game in a cruiser. Definitely love seeing the tech trees getting some love out there. If you have your own Kraken of the Week you'd like to submit, please follow the link below. We love to see all the game types and feature as many people as possible. So taking a look at the scoreboard here, a great game. Got solid XP, especially for a capture the base. Capture the base doesn't give you as many opportunities to get defends and captures, which really limits the amount of XP. Even so, going to get 2,400 XP, a hefty amount above second place on the blue team. And GG to RWWatson. That's all we have for this one. Thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments down below. If this is your first time coming to the channel, consider hitting subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.